Okay, now if you look at the backstops, these backstops are in line with one another. The problem is this one here has a gap in there. Now I'm off of the bark here, so because I'm off the bark, this would be that way about 3/4 of an inch yet. So you can see that if it was that way 3/4 of an inch, I would have the 1.5 over here that I have when I measure just from bark to bark. When I brought the string around before, it ran over top of this bark and pulled itself out. But this is one real fast way of showing you which way the bend is. So if I take a my cant hook then and I turn this, you'll see what happens with this bend. So let me just, looks like we're getting froze up. Let me just get the cant hook. I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to look in the camera again just to see what you guys are seeing. Okay, so right there, the tree's hitting here, the tree's hitting here, but it's not hitting in the middle. That tells you which way the log is bent. Now let's suppose we grab a hold of this and turn this. If you look there, like right at that point, it's touching here, here, and there. Okay, so that tells you that the bend is basically on the other side almost. You probably turn it a little more. Yeah, right there. Right like that, I'm touching the backstop all the way down. So that tells you that you're not completely on a 90 to the other side. You're not quite a 90 to it, because really it should be pushing only in the middle and not on the two ends. So let me turn a little more. Okay, so at this point here, let's see, if I don't go a little more yet. All right there. It's away here, it's away up there, but it's touching this. So that tells you we're in the middle of the tree, 180 degrees around it. So you can use those different quick ways of showing you or teaching you what you need to know to make this happen. See, it's away there, but it's touching here, and it's away up there again. This is how and why you see me rolling the log, moving the log, whatever, to make me know and understand what I'm doing. So now if we come over here and look across that, you can see that the bend in the log is on this side here instead of on the other side. That's just, when I show this to you and you look at this, it seems like, well, yeah, that's easy enough to know. But do you do it every time you cut a log? You know, if you don't do that and look at it in those three ways, you're not going to know this. Now, granted, you don't have to turn each log over just to find out if the log is, you know, got a 1/2 inch bend in it, unless you're trying to do something, you know, specific with the log. But if you see a bend in the log and you want to make sure you're right at the bend, doing it the way I just did it is another way of doing it. Instead of using string, which a lot of times, you know, the string works, it works fine, but it's kind of a nuisance to go find it or hook it up, especially if there's only one person. It gets a little hard sometimes. But if you do it this way, you can see really quickly what the problem with the log is. So, you know, using your backstops to work like this is a good way of showing you very simply where the bend in the log is at. Which side has the inner bend, which side has the outer bend, and which way do you want to cut. Now, the way it is right now, I can cut it like this. The problem with this, let me just back up here and show you this. The problem with this is because this isn't against here, and it's not against this, if I was going to tighten this, it is against this one. Let's say I left the three of them up. If I tighten this, this is going to come further away from that one, okay? If I leave these three up. But if I take this one down, if I move the log, roll it back a little, take this down, and roll it back into place against these, when I put the stop up, I'll be pulling this over to that rather than letting it go too far. In other words, if I flip this down, or actually it wouldn't come this way, it would go the other way. If I tighten that stop up there, the dog, this log's going to want to pull this way. Okay? It's going to want to pull this way. If I tighten this one down here and put that one down, the log's going to want to go that way. It doesn't matter which way you cut it. That's not what I'm after. I'm not trying to show you that there's a certain way you have to cut. All I'm trying to show you is guys who have not worked in geometry much, and I have. Geometry's been a big part of my life, especially in building and, you know, making roofs and different kind of cuts and angles. Geometry's been a big part of my life, and it helps me to see what the problem is with the log. But you don't have to know geometry so well, as what you have to do is know shapes. You have to know what's going to happen with the shape. If you have a circle here and a circle there in a cylinder and it's bent in the middle, you know that it's going to flop, okay? If you have a circle here and a circle there and it's straight, you're going to have a nice round roll to it. So those are the things that you learn as you cut. And I learned it not from the sawmill, believe it or not. I learned it from working with other things, you know, doing surveying and stuff like that has taught me these things happen, and that they're out there to look at, and you need to adjust yourself as you're, you know, making your mistakes or making your moves. Well, now you can, I don't know if you can see over there, but I've got about a ½ inch of snow on the pile there. I don't want to put any wood on that while there's snow on it. Anyway, this shouldn't last too long. It's supposed to go up into the 40s, I think, on Monday. So even if we get 4 inches, it'll probably leave fairly quickly. Alright guys, so those are 3 things that I'm trying to show new people what to look out for. And even if you're experienced at cutting, but you never really thought about this, what it all does. And I'm sure that once you cut a couple of logs and you use these ideas to give yourself some intake on what's going to happen with your boards, you'll learn this in no time. Really, it comes quick. You just got to keep remembering it. Over the past couple days, like right now, if you look in there, let's see, 180, 60, it's 60 degrees in there. And that's not good for drying, that's for certain, because the relative humidity goes up when it goes, temperature goes down. But I have no sun, and this is a solar kiln and it needs sun. But this is the way things go sometimes. Well guys, it's 6 o'clock. It'll be dark in another 2 hours or so. And we've got 3 inches out there now. So it's still snowing pretty good. I think you can see that there. And I think we're going to have more than 4 inches if it snows all night.